Hello and welcome to another set of turns of Dominions 5. I'm the False God, and we're going to be jumping into our initial expansion with Porphyrion, which is the Hellenica version of L.A. Phalegra. And we actually, I guess I still didn't save turn 1, but I probably should have, because we expand on turn 1 with our great big boulder rock thing. We received 10 gold from Nock. I believe he sent everybody 10 gold because I don't remember if he needed an extension or he was just last, but he was slow. So this is turn 2 and we've already got a battle. We'll talk about why I picked this province in a second. So that's Curse of Stones, which doesn't do anything, I believe. Oh, no, it does. Okay. Extra burned and okay, so they'll fatigue, but I don't think they can fatigue because they're undead. In any event, though, we're going to go ahead and just boulder our way on over everybody. You can see we're at 230 HP. We started at 250. We've taken extremely minimal damage. And we'll end up just about killing them to a horse. One horsey got away. So that is what the rock is for. The Rock of Ages. But let's see if we've got any cool names or anything. Somebody claimed the Axis Mundi. I don't know what that is. There's a lot of Hellenica has a lot of really cool nations, and I've read several of them. But there's also a lot that I haven't read at all. And my general goal is to, read about them when we go to war. Ulm, it's Natatuma, the warrior chief, known as proud of Skynet. Clearly an Arnold Schwarzenegger theme. Iker, I hardly knew her. Prophet of Ulu. Okay. This is obviously, I sort of get this joke. I don't know if there's anything to do with that title. Abyssia is Choppy Boy the Warlord. Hinam is Dinamnamnius. Very nice. Eridu is Harry A. Feats. Okay. TNC is waiting for the rehost. This is, yes. So this is actually, the whole game got to like turn 5 or 6, and then had to be restarted when Agrippa didn't put enough thrones on the map. So that was problematic. The game was originally pitched with 12 players, but then we expanded it to 16 players, and the map never changed. So that was part of it. But also, Karanak needed to be patched. It was just like non-functional. I don't remember exactly how, but my understanding is that was a thing. Bandarlog, Pongo, okay. Big shout out to the Bandarlog player who subbed in, and then the game restarted, but he still subbed in again. Brickmaker General, Nusku. I don't know what that's from, if it's from anything. Us, Nabatem Don't Be Last. This is Nabatem is being played by Arpathius, who was my partner in the Scalaria game and in the Pan game, the Disciples game, but he has been last to go a number of times, and we're going to rib him for it. Macedon has got Shrek, and Bonnie Tyler, Shrek 2. Nabatem is Einstein's favorite. So that's fun. So we can see here's our initial spot. We have a couple goals with the first rock movement, and a couple of competing objectives we need to try and decide. So the first and most important piece, and why we went here, is of course that we need the resources. And we didn't have any dom spreads. We couldn't really see what was going on, or not a ton. Forest typically will have the most resources. Now, unfortunately for us, this forest has 1,100 people, and so resources wise is just barely ahead of these plains, which all would have given us a lot more gold. But not that much we can do about that. I stand by this decision. But the other reason too is that we want to secure as many high value provinces as possible. And so looking at this map, right, that's this farmland with 3 little houses, this farmland with 3 little houses, and then this pair of farmlands. Just from the map type, right? Obviously, you never know. Something else could have more, but from what we can see, that's what we're after. As far as recruitment goes, we profited our guy, and we made our first shackled smith. He's going to research. Remember, we have a citadel, so even though they cost 3, we can go ahead and get 1 a turn. And we recruited some extra helot soldiers to boost up this party. We're going to put them on hold and attack closest, and then our archers are going to be on fire. We're going to do sermon and then word of stone. In terms of recruitment, like I said, we've got shackled smith. These produce resources, 30 resources. So each one of these is kind of like getting a whole extra province. And we're going to be making Iron Guard as our recruit, or as our expander of choice, and then into the game. But each one of these costs 35 resources. So each turn of Shackled Smith production enables 1 more Iron Guard production. Obviously, and then you take provinces, so that helps it too. I think we have a resource bonus in our capital, because we have 206 resources. But I really liked in testing these Iron Guard. You could also do it with the Mouflons. I mean, we could really do it. You could even do it with the Helot Soldiers, but I think that's just kind of worse than the Iron Guard. And I want to have a big group of Iron Guard around for later too. They could be really useful in a first war. So we're gonna, and there you can make Mouflon out of any fort, and you can only make Iron Guard out of your capital. So I want to essentially start making as many Iron Guard as I can. So the Iron Guard are pretty good, or our initial starting army is okay. 11 attack, 16 damage, protection 15 is not terrible. 12 defense is right in the middle. So this is a fine army, and the Prophet's going to help them out, but they're not going to fight barbarians. I don't really love them into Horse Tribe. They do okay. They have got a shield. They've got a helmet. But we're going to just send them into these heavy infantry and militia. This is probably our weakest party that's going to go out. So we'll go ahead and start there. We can also rely on our god to take out tough provinces, especially if we can sort of cordon them off, as it is easy enough for him to kill any number of barbarians. So we're going to send him south. This is a 18,000 population province in early age. That is huge. So we desperately want this. So that is a big deal. Big deal for us. So we're going to try and get this. We're going to send our troops over to take this. And then we're going to keep recruiting up our new squad. We luckily enough, right, you do get to start. So you don't start with a scout, but you do start with this Porphyrion priest who has this reduce unrest ability to help mitigate the capital. So while you see unrest 1 here, it actually isn't going to negatively impact our income, because it's going to go to 0 when this guy's ability triggers before income, and then the unrest will get added again after income. So you'll sort of always see, or generally always see, I don't remember, the Dominion plays an effect on it too, but you sort of generally see some small amounts of unrest, but as long as we have a priest, we're actually not losing income, which is a little goofy. We're also going to watch the mercenaries. We went ahead and bid on the Raiders of Silver Step. We have a ton of money. So this guy costs 165 gold. Each of these costs 15. But our upkeep is shockingly low, right? We have a slave, a sacred, and an army of slaves. So our incomes, or our upkeep's really low. So we're going to try and get mercs. Also in Hellenica, Porphyrion has a bonus on mercs instead of LA Phlegra's penalty. So go ahead and move into turn 3. 3. Tiernanog. Orion. Okay. We got a couple of battles. So we have the God. Not afraid. It's going to go right into these heavy infantry. I don't even think any of them have hit. Oh, maybe they got a hit there. But yeah, he's not concerned with their nonsense. This one is obviously a little bit closer. So we're going to go ahead and get a Sermon of Courage off here. Hopefully hitting mostly the infantry. Yep. We're firing at their archers. Try and rout the squad. Got some spells going out. And then our foot soldiers are going to go ahead and interact. It'd be nice to hit these guys fast enough that they all rout before the heavy infantry come to back them up. The smite coming down is also very helpful. And you can see it looks like we're making our way through. There's a rout on the militia. The heavy infantry are down to just 3 dudes left, although they're still fighting. We're sort of making our way through there. So we ultimately win that fight. The locals start conducting demon worship as soon as we moved in. Awesome. We did get the Raiders of the Silver Step, who is immediately a famous hero. Which is kind of funny, and he picks up a heroic ability of enormous strength. So now, we have a couple of options. So first, we can see that Hinnom is our neighbor to the south. And Hinnom is being played by Zan. We actually have spoken a couple times about Hellenica Hinnom. So I think since he did this mostly first, we talked a little bit, but mostly we'll talk later, and you can actually see some of that chat in the live streams I did testing Hinnom. So what we're going for here is, again, we want to try and take up territory where we can. This group is pretty small at this point. Well, okay, they lost one guy, but they're still not huge. We could either proceed into 62 here, or we can head for this this province, this wasteland. I'm trying to remember why I chose the wasteland instead of this one. This one would have been. I think what I was worried about was we'd go here. I didn't think we could necessarily take this. There's a river here. So depending on what's here, we could be in trouble. Like in terms of continuing to expand, but that's not really much better. I don't know, maybe I was planning on taking this, and then if this was hard, my standards would be low enough, we'd go for this. I think pressing north might have been better, but I don't know, hard to say for sure. But tis what it is. So we're going over here with this group. Here we found, okay, so this is actually huge. So I didn't really mention, we found a lava lake last turn, which is great. You know, getting some fire and water gem income. Very nice. This wind spire, though, is huge. We don't have any native air access, and our whole research plan is get to construction 2 and make Aliquils. So getting an air income started is really important. Especially we have misfortune, so we can't rely on a ton of luck events for that. We'd have to trade, which is doable, but always a little annoying. Here, what we're doing is that we have a bunch of options. I think the Raiders of the Silver Step can fight this or this perfectly effectively. They could certainly take them too. I think it'd be kind of close between him and these horse tribe because they're basically, I think they're basically a similar unit. But what I want to do is the god is headed this way, right? Capture this big farm. That's my main idea there. In terms of attacking either of these, we don't know. This is Hinnom's capital. So the most likely places that we're going to see him next turn are probably here or here. So it's turn, let's see, it's turn 3. Obviously, I don't know exactly what kind of expansion he's doing, but usually you recruit something for your first party, which goes out. And then you're still recruiting a second party. So we should have another turn to hopefully get here and then have our horsies ride over here. I believe they have enough map movement. The unlucky possibility would be if he started like this. And the luckier possibility if he started like this, because we'd already have access to this and then we could beat him over here. So in terms of what he's going to do, it's hard to say. Both of these provide good resources. A lot of barbs here. I'm sure why he didn't want to. You know, this is probably up to the independent type, but the farmland is obviously probably tempting for him. In any event, though, we're sending Cav here and sending this here and this here. We're continuing to recruit Iron Guard and a Shackled Smith and an Oppressor General. The Oppressor General's job is to lead around the Iron Guard as they are magic and require magic leadership. The other thing to consider is when we look at what we want to recruit out of our capital for the early couple turns of the game, we have a lot of conflicting things we want to do, some of which are made easier by this Windspire. So first, we want as many Shackled Smiths as we can get, A, for their resource bonus, but B, we need to random an air, as many air versions as we can, and ideally some Earth 2, so they can make hammers and owl quills. And it's 1 out of 4 to get each of those, so we may need several before we get there. So we want as many Shackled Smiths as we can. We need Oppressor Generals to actually lead around the Iron Guard we're recruiting. That is a point in favor of doing a different group, but if you want to lead around your Mouflons with a Mouflon Cataphract, you're actually not any better off because they cost 2 command points as well. You'd have to lead them around with a commander, which is fine, but he doesn't have as much leadership. You're going to not get the mobility advantage. You know, these guys have 16 map move, which isn't great, but he's only got 14, so you might lose out. But anyway, we're going to do it with Oppressor Generals. Now, the part that we are a little bit lucky in is that we can potentially hold off on our Oppressor Archon. We want these guys, obviously, they're our big cat mage for now. And we essentially have a limited number of them we're ever going to recruit, because once Last Dragonians come online, we're going to stop recruiting these, unless at the utmost end of need. But we want to get these guys out sight searching, particularly early on for air, but they have 5 paths, so they can do a wide but shallow search throughout our lands. But again, you sort of want all the different pieces to come online at the same time. You know, you want a bunch of air guys once you hit construction 2, and you need an air income with that. And so however you get there, sort of that's the goal. So we're going to try and triple expand here on turn 3. Let's go ahead and jump into turn 4. It'll probably be our last turn, given the video length. I'm going to skip down to the bottom here. It's faster. All right, we got 3 battles and no events. Here we're against 3 commanders, so I like our odds. Here we have a god, so I like our odds. There's just not very much that the Lion Tribe are going to be able to do about our great big rock. The corporate grind who crushes all into dust. And then here we've got our raiders going up against a couple heavy infantry, a decent amount of militia, and some archers. And we're hoping that they pepper these guys so much with arrows that they mostly rout before they make it to us. No shields, obviously, in these guys, so they are going to take a lot of damage from archer fire. And our guys are pretty good in melee, too. They've got a spear. These guys routed right as they got into contact, leaving these guys alone. This is an annoying part of ranged cavalry. A bunch of the guys in the back line are just shooting instead of going to help their buddies. But there's a general rout. So we lost 3 raiders and took the province. So what we can see from here is tremendously good news. Very much, obviously, the decision was 50-50, but we got really lucky. This slave market is huge. It's gonna give us a slow but present way into blood. So at 3 per turn, right, it's gonna take what, 16 turns or something, 17 turns to do the first blood and power. But then it gets faster from there. You really get to skip the whole turn intensive scout, scout blood hunting with no blood paths thing. And so this is going to get us into blood. Now, we're never going to be huge on blood. This is not like equivalent to getting a recruitable blood mage. But it should be enough to get us started and then put us into Lastrygonian Feast once our Lastrygonians wake up. So that's 35 blood slaves to get like a mini version of a Lastrygonian Tyrant, which is really nice. So this one is very precious to us. Unfortunately, we do see that Hinnom went this way. And so this looks very much like it's a bump. Or could be a bump. The best chance of it not being a bump is if these are lizards. Because if these are lizards, they're really important. And this is a contested boundary province for Hinnom. So he may want to try and lock these down instead of going here. But we'll see. And he's expanding with Horites, Avite Swordsmen, and Avite Light Infantry. So I had not... when we discussed a little bit, he said he'd like the Horites in expansion. Now, they did get buffed in Hellenica. They're also apparently out of order now. But these Horite champions, 41 HP. So that's a lot more HP, I think, than they have in the base game. 7 protection, 9 defense, 11 attack. Huge, huge damage on the club. Some resistances, dark vision. But in vanilla, I think these guys get absolutely just crushed. They don't have any protection or any defense. Archer fire's terrible for them. They have problems. But with 41 HP, those problems don't seem quite so bad. 2 to a square. So looks like he made... They're very low resources, which is a big thing early on. You're able to sort of put out a lot of these. So I like it. Especially to sort of complement a first party. I don't know, maybe you've got them in like waves, right? You have your Avite Light Infantry hit first, soak up the first wave of hits, and then these guys sort of flank, where they don't take quite as much damage and are able to just crush a flank with those 29 damage clubs. But we're going to hope that he goes this way, or that we pepper them to death with our archers. Other options would have been taking a turn off to go and try and do this. Would have been not unreasonable. We can't make it here either. We could go into his land, but that obviously would be really provocative. So we're going to try this. You never know. He might go this way, or we might win. Our god is going to go try and take this out. Try and secure this high gold province, or presumably high gold province. Our first group of Iron Guard are going to head in to take out these Horse Tribe. We see in 40 and 20 on the scouting report, so there's probably about 30. These guys are great versus arrows. They have a shield. They've got 19 protection. They have a helmet. They shouldn't have any problems. This guy's doing flying shards. We did not get an air version, so no air shield. But that's okay. I think I may have him... Yeah, I have him all the way in the back. To avoid getting shot. So they're going to go over here. And like I said before, it would appear that my thought process was to take this and then push up and push back around. I think that's wrong. I think if you're going to do that, I think I should have gone the other way. Like, this province is sort of quote-unquote mine. But these two aren't. So I think it would have been better to go the other way. That's small mistakes. We're still recruiting another Shackled Smith and an Oppressor General and Iron Guard. So we're going to be doing that most of the expansion. 100 barbarians here. Sort of a yikes. But also lizards, hugely important for us. These are going to be access, if we can get them right. That's access to nature, which we don't have anything for. They also slot into communions. Obviously great. They cast astral magic. Our only astral comes off of our cap only mage. They also help to insulate that cap only mage from magic duel. So these are pretty huge. There's probably an argument for going after them right away and not after this, but this is going to be worth so much. We also put bids in for a pair of raider or mercenaries, because why not? We have plenty of money. We also started our palisade. So yeah, I just want to, again, to reiterate how cheap our stuff is. It's turn 4. We've started a palisade while fully recruiting in our capital and putting bids out on 2 mercenary groups. Now, we have an expander god, so we have more provinces than you normally would. So we're a little bit ahead, but it's still very impressive. So that's quite happy. So we're going for a quad expand here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We made another one of these guys. He's moving over here. He's looking to then follow the god into here and start a fortress here as well. So let's go ahead and, oh yeah, we're over. We're going to have to go ahead and stop here on turn 4. But thanks everybody for sticking with me, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day.